with this news. Back in February, when you did a press conference with Donald Trump in the White House, he said, we could end up with a real trade deal where tariffs wouldn't be necessary. We'll see. Those were Donald Trump's words. And you've come out, and yes, you have a concession on cars. You have a flat tariff still of 10%. Are you disappointed with that? Is this just the start? And to those voters last week in the local elections that gave you the worst ever vote share you've had in a set of elections as a Labour Party, what's your message to them? Thank you.
Well, my message to them is that we absolutely get the message that they sent last Thursday. We will remain focused as ever on the national interest, and I have them in mind, I have the workforce here in mind when we make the decisions that we make. I don't make them for my sake, I make them on behalf of working people across this country. And in relation to this deal, yes, we would like to go further in relation to tariffs, but I think it's really important that we've been able to get this deal over the line now, because in that way we've been able to protect and save and enhance jobs right here, right now. And that reduction from 27.5% down to 10% makes a huge difference to firms like JLR and the decisions they have to make about the future. Decisions that I want them to make about the future. Steel and aluminium obviously been in the news hugely in recent weeks. To get that down to 0% as well is hugely important. Pharmaceuticals is one of the most important sectors in our economy, and therefore there's nothing to get down at the moment because there isn't tax, but it should be. It's already got into a position of significantly preferential outcomes. Will I know be a welcome relief to them? So I measure this by the reactions of those that are most affected by the tariffs, which is the workforce here, it's those in pharmaceuticals, those that work in steel and aluminium. But look, there's a huge ambition here. There's a lot in the deal about tech. We are two of the leading economies on tech. There's a huge amount we can do on tech as well. So we want to go further, in those areas and on tariffs. Keeping our red lines absolutely in place on SBS and on food standards and agricultural standards, because that matters so much to us here. Thank you, Beth. Paul.
Hi there, Paul McRyan from the Prime Minister. Look, business needs certainty. President Trump is no stranger to changing his mind on a whim. What assurances can you give business, give the workers here, that despite what you've agreed today, we're not all going to wake up to a post tomorrow that effectively rips all out?
Well, we've been negotiating this text for a long time. I had discussions with Donald Trump along the way, including discussions last night. We're clearly agreeing. There is a written text. This is reduced to writing. That text will be available. So this is an agreement that is absolutely clear. We work well together. We respect each other, the President and I, and we trust each other. And have trusted each other through this process. Each of us mandating our negotiating teams to get the best deal for our respective countries. Both teams have fought hard in tough negotiations. We've arrived at an agreement that I went through with the President last night, and we've just agreed moments ago here at JLR. So clear agreement in terms, and these tariff reductions to come in very short order make a material difference in the lives of very many people. Thank you very much. I've got Noah.
Noah from The Sun. Hi, Prime Minister. I was wondering if you could please spell out for us what your strategy is going to be to get those 10% tariffs down to 0%. I know you're talking a lot about today being job saved, not a job done, but a lot of people will be thinking 10% still isn't good enough, we're worse off than a year ago. How are you going to approach negotiations going forward, and how long will it take till we get to 0%?
I will approach negotiations in the same way I've approached negotiations with India and with President Trump to get to today's deal. With India, I met Prime Minister Modi at the G20 in Brazil. We agreed that we would get our teams to work together at pace, in a courteous, respectful, business-like way. With President Trump, we've operated in the same way, not walking out the room, not slamming doors, but staying in the room negotiating. The same with the EU, respectfully negotiating in relation to the summit that we'll have a week on Monday. So we'll do it in exactly the same way. But please do not underestimate the significance of the tariff reductions today, because these are measured in thousands of good, well-paid jobs across the country. And that really matters. That's the heart of everything that I believe in. And I believe that serious, pragmatic, in-the-room negotiations acting in the national interest are far better than performative politics, people slamming the door, floundering out, we're being performative, but not actually delivering for people. And I'll continue in the same vein. We've had 2 trade deals this week by acting in that way. And I think that shows that serious pragmatism defeats performative politics any day of the week. Thank you. Mikey, from the Mirror.
You mentioned tech a couple of times. JD Vance has on a number of occasions said that one of his red lines is concessions on our anti-hate speech laws. How have you managed anti-hate speech laws? How have you managed to talk him round on that? And very quickly, if I may, I think you'll admit that this wasn't what you were expecting to do today. Donald Trump has been struggling to land his arguments on tariffs. Have we been bounced into this by a president giving his help out of the hole?
Well, look, I mean, in terms of free speech, I've been really clear throughout. We've had free speech in this country for a very, very long time. It's one of our foundational principles on which we're all very, very proud, and that will long be the case. There's nothing in this deal that impinges on that in any way whatsoever. In relation to the timing of this, no, not at all. Our teams have been hard at work for weeks on end. I wanted to get a deal over the line. I made I'm not ashamed of that. I wanted, because I knew how important it was, particularly for JLR. We got a deal, we got it over the line, and we got it over the line in a timely manner. The last thing I wanted to do was deliver a deal that didn't come in time for those who desperately need it. So, no, I didn't know the exact day. I wouldn't have been having my phone call with President Trump halfway through the second half of the Arsenal PSG game, and I planned it better. But that's the way it turned out. So that's the discussion we were having late last night about how we proceeded with this deal, and I'm really pleased to be able to come here today. And actually, to be able to do it on VE Day is really significant, because of course the US was standing there as our ally 80 years ago today. So today is an opportunity to reflect on the fact that today we stand together as allies on security and defence, of course. There are no 2 countries that are closer on security and defence, but now we add trade and economy to those issues where we're the closest allies. I'm really pleased about that. And then Hugo.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Hugo Dyer from the iPaper. Just the other day, President Trump threatened to put tariffs on the film industry. Obviously, Britain has a huge film sector. Have you asked him to take that threat off the table? What did he say? And if he hasn't taken that off the table, how are you going to stop that becoming a reality?
Well, obviously there aren't any tariffs in place on film at the moment. And of course we're discussing it with the President's team. We'll take the same approach as we take on other issues, whether it's tariffs imposed to produce or potential tariffs in areas like pharmaceuticals or film. We'll take the same approach because for me what matters is acting in the national interest and making sure that everything that we do is good for working people in this country. Whether it comes to, whether it's steel and aluminium, whether it's car building, whether it's pharmaceuticals or film, we are brilliant at these things. And therefore I will act in the national interest and have those discussions on film as we've done on other issues. Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you. And I'll now talk to some of the witnesses.